And welcome everybody. Tuesday, May the 21st, 2013. It's going to be an outstanding day today. I have a guest, Nickie Thetsy and Andre Hodge. Normally the show is a psychic call-in show, but I do take one day off a week here and there to bring up other topics. And I want to announce today I'm going to be on the Collective Imagination Show on Blog Talk Radio from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. That'll be with Lisa Harrison and Chris Hale. For those that are the new listeners that listened to the show last night with on Sunday with Michael Monk, Peter Shelton, and Chris Hale, the Walking in Energy show, I want to welcome all you guys. I've had a tremendous response from you. That was an outstanding show. We will be doing a series of shows on the Walking in Energy, and we'll be on the Collective Imagination, expanding the Galactic Historian. And today with me, I have Nickie Thetsy and Andre Hodge. Andre is an outstanding psychic individual from Australia, and Nickie is a radio host here on Revolution Radio, and she too has an outstanding understanding of the history. She's able to remember all of her past lives in Atlantis and Lemuria, and when you put people together like her and me together who understand we have to empower people, we can get a lot of things done. Welcome, Nickie. Welcome, Andre.
Good morning. Thank you, Andrew, for having me here.
It's outstanding. I absolutely love having shows with you, and we've done so many private conversations that now we can just take it off and take the gloves off and knock people's socks off.
I like that analogy. Thank you. I think when we put two of us together, it's like fire,
Right.
and we're like competing to talk because there's so much to just download and upload.
I just want to announce real quick, we are not going to be taking calls for individual readings today. I will announce when we're taking calls, and that'll be sometime in the second hour, and this will be for questions on stuff and topics that we're bringing up. For those that less regularly listen to me or to Nickie, know that we have a tremendous amount of informative topics ranging from galactic history to health and wellness. And I want to welcome Andre. Andre, how you doing? Andre is muted. Anyway.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Sorry. But
Hi, Andre.
yeah. I'm fired up here as well. So good morning or good afternoon wherever you are, and very excited about having these two interact in a public level. I was able to sort of bring them together in a magical experience where we had 3 hours together of these two galactic entities just interacting, and I was sitting here just like going la-di-da-di-da, and I saw these two doves come and land on a fence outside my window where I sit, and they were going, how do you do? How do you do? How do you do? So I just had symbology with all this. So
So the way this is going to work, Nickie and I are going to be having a conversation, and Andre has a list of questions, and those questions are going to help guide the conversation. When you have two powerful people like Nickie and I, we can both take conversations to the nth degree. And we want this to not go over people's heads. We want them to get it. And that's why 2 points of view with two powerful people that are well connected can get to the mass amounts of audiences that are looking for consciousness exploration.
That's right. And Andre is an amazing person. It's really funny. Since I've been on Revolution Radio, it's been about a month now. It's my 1 month anniversary. And I've been so many people recommend me to read or listen to this person, and none of them gravitate towards me, and a lot of times when you are a host, you ask questions you knew, or you asking questions for the audience. It's not necessarily just for yourself, I would say. And, people would call or write to you telling you, oh, you need to talk to that person because you need to know this. And you're like, no, I knew that. I'm asking for you, the audience. So a lot of times people get mistaken, but, as a host, that there's a variety of listener out there that are not informed and aware at extent of a level. So you have to go sometimes to the basics. And when Andre, he's very intuitive, powerful person, and he's coming into his position now with all his power and alignment. He put Andrew and I together, and when I heard the name, I'm like, I went to sleep. I woke up. The first thing I did was I jumped out of the bed and I Skyped Andre. I'm like, who's this Andrew guy? Hook me up now. and Andre was like, oh, okay. So he typed something, Wolf Spirits radio. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me type in. There he was. Andrew was online. He accepted my friend right away, and since then we've been talking and exploring from a different universe, I would say. So that's been fantastic experience.
So I just want to remind people that this show today is not for psychic call-ins, and I'm already sensing there's a lot of people. So I will be taking psychic call-ins on Thursday and Friday. So for those of you that are waiting, you can wait for a live reading on Thursday or Friday, or you can go to the Revolution Radio archives or my individual YouTube page and listen to 200 hours of me reading people. So why don't we get this going? Andre, how did you want to start this?
Yeah, I mean, being very fortunate to interact with you two individually and together, and it was just like, this cannot be, just me on my own. It's got to be shared, and you guys really need to be put together to share what you have to offer. And the way I see that you individually are pretty much at the same level, and what you can do is offer an opportunity for people to triangulate with two different people coming to the same sort of points of view. Nickie has a very, she came to America when she was 11. She learned English and the culture and stuff, so she actually comes from a different point of view. So our language might be unique, but when you listen to what it's trying to aim at, it's there's a commonality in you both. So on Monday I was meditating in my group, and I was just like, what should we do and all that, and it came to me like the Egyptian pyramids and the mystery schools. And Andrew, last week your shows were gearing up to that. You mentioned this wonderful, you had an amazing call from a lady, and it was about not Akhenaten but the pharaoh before that, and many individual sort of things. And I just thought, let's really get it focused. I don't know if you've actually covered the mystery schools and stuff like that. Have you done that?
I have done an off-air recording of the mystery schools, and I haven't released it. I've done about 15 hours, so there's a significant amount of information there. One of the reasons I haven't is timing and personalities. There needs to be the obvious time, and then the personalities come forward, such as you and Nickie. And that's one of the reasons I do off-air recordings, is because when I put it into a recording, it actually changes the way the world functions. And Nickie will know that too. Once you manifest something, it allows a whole other layer of manifestation.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
that's correct.
So why don't we sort of kick it off? And there's I think, a lot of the questions you've had, Andrew, are very advanced, right? So one of the real basic sort of things are sort of characters in history that you can sort of really delve into. And Nickie, you can take it away as well, right? But the first sort of question I had was the pharaoh Akhenaten and Nefertiti, and there was sort of a light versus dark priesthood battle. And I've also done research into Chris Thomas. He's another Akashic reader that's been on Miles Johnson's Bases series. And yeah, basically I'll just plant that seed now and go for it.
Well, why don't we start with Nickie, and let's talk a little overview of Atlantis and Lemuria, because that's a big topic, and there's lots of misunderstandings when it comes to that.
Right. Now, I'm from Atlantis and Lemuria. I'm a very ancient old soul. And in this lifetime, I have awakened and also seen at conscious level, because I'm at that level where I'm already swimming in the quantum field 24/7. Because of that, I don't need to go into meditation in order to see my past or my future. I'm basically a walking Google, and everything is presented to me at conscious level while I'm wide awake. And I went to an event one time at Portal Ascension a couple months ago, and I met this gentleman. When I saw him, it's like, I know this man. And he looked at me, he stared at me. He's like, I know you. So, we both recognized each other right away, and we knew we're from, Lemurians, and I could see him. He was my brother, and we were arm wrestling each other. And when I was in his energy as he was in mine, the soul family energy connects. And this message go out to those of you who meet your soul family as well. Then you create this connection, this very, very powerful connection. And I could see myself as a young boy, about 13, and so was he, and we were arm wrestling, and as he said to me, Nickie, you were once a very powerful scientist, alchemist, energy healer, name it. You were manipulating energy, just like an avatar. You were doing all these things. You were teaching people, and and as he was saying this, I could see myself. It was incredible. It's just like a movie. You're watching a movie. And then he said something to me which I already knew. He said, you could be famous again. And that is never has been my intention. But, it kind of comes in a package when you want to do something, And one of the things I wanted to do is to educate people about energy healing, about energy transformation, being able to manipulate energy at various levels. And when he said that, I was like, wow, like what he said sounded really, like, it resonated to me. And I already knew when it comes to embracing, certain standard of public standards that he was talking about. And I was like, oh yeah, it's interesting. And then as we were standing, I said, hold up your hands, and we were touching each other's hand. And all of a sudden, this cord, spiral energy, it looks almost like DNA, just spiral upward, and all this it's like this veil of vortex of energy just open up. It was powerful, very powerful. So, Lemurian, I came from Lemurian. I was a Lemurian. And when I tune into that energy, it's like you're bringing back your past. And you can do this too. You can ask for the positive things, not necessarily embrace the negativity. Okay, bring back that part of you, that positive part of you that you want to embrace. So I did that. I brought it back, and I embraced the technology, the knowledge, and the skill that I have learned over 10,000 years ago. And because of that, I was able to manipulate a lot of different energies, from being called as a weather girl to controlling earthquakes to various things. But not to say that with, great power comes with great responsibilities. And before you do anything, you really have to think about it, because you don't want to temper with Mother Nature, or is it Mother Nature as those have believed? Because when you work with, and I know I'm going to go off a little bit, but I'm going to connect everything for those of you, give you an overview of there are greater things at work than just Mother Nature. And that is, you got this galactic federation, okay, the different ET races that are up there as a council. And sometimes they're the ones that are creating a lot of these disaster, not necessarily just Mother Earth. Then there's also the other group, as you all know, the Illuminati, what have you, and these people are, using technology, man-made technology such as HARP, okay, and to create fake mother disaster. So you have to be aware on all different aspects before you make any decisions. I hope I answered your question. I know I'm going to go off.
You answered the question, and you did something that's outstanding. You gave your perspective, and you gave what you're applying to this world with your perspective. And what's your website? And Andre's going to post it in the web page. My
website is tnano.net. Okay. And that will give you information of what I do and what I provide, all we want to for people to be able to do sensitive work like I can, and while being protected. It's very important. Most people, you know, they want to go and activate portal and create vortexes, and I'm like, no. It is not for everyone. It takes great responsibility, and I want to add warning to those of you who think that you could just go and open portals. You have to understand that one must clean your closet out completely, including your ancestor, karmic ancestor, because it comes in a package. You're a package deal. If you are connected with a lot of dark energies, okay, demons, Satan, name it, when you play with energy, particularly opening portals, you will open that portals automatically.
Based off of your ancestral wisdom and DNA. I
That's
talk
right.
a lot about ancestors, and where Nickie and I come into absolute union is how those ancestor spirits influence you each and every lifetime, as well as pass on the contracts of other ancestors so that you have an opportunity to resolve the soul family karma.
Oh, was I not? It took over a lot of contracts in this lifetime. And you know what? It's funny. You have your future, okay, written ahead of you, okay, all these successful things. But until then, you fulfill those contracts, they will bug you. It's like, you know how when you're a little child and you want your parents to do something for you and you keep tugging on their shirt, mommy, and you're distracting your parents? That's what they do.
Yep.
Okay. It's like by the time like you try to grab something of success, okay, something will happen. It's like taken away from you. And you wonder, what just happened? What just happened to you? And that's what happened. It means that they're allowed to tug on your shirt because you have a contract to fulfill. Okay. Until then, if there is no contract, then they're not allowed to do that. Right. Okay.
And a little another twist there is you have free will to change contracts, but many contracts have this fine print that's been inserted by the hijacked incarnation grid. We'll talk about that a little later, but I want to get into ancestor spirits, and then we'll move in how the ancestor spirits grew families into bigger soul families until we have the billions of people here. Because this is one of the keys to understanding how your ancestors from another DNA lineage, from another lifetime, can interact and co-create with you in a current DNA lineage that's a total separate soul family. There's so many layers to soul family and soul contracts. A contract from Lemuria can suddenly become active now, hundreds of thousands of years later, simply because the synchronicity of soul families coming together has triggered old contracts.
That's
and
right.
This is when you worry about opening portals and you're not prepared for that, because if you haven't looked at your ancestor spirits on both mother's and father's side, at least 3 generations back, you run the risk of finding yourself opening up concepts you're not ready because you just haven't healed yourself enough. We are in a society and a culture that doesn't allow inner healing. And both Nickie and I promote inner healing at every angle before you go to the super experiences.
Exactly.
So
very well said, Andrew. I do promote inner healing first and foremost. You do not point fingers and blame other people for all the mishappenings into your life. It is within you. You're always responsible for everything. It's hard to grasp at time and swallow that. But when one can see things at multiple aspects, things interplay, okay, and like you said, it is multiple level, and I think even for a certain level of psychic, okay, it's very hard to see that. And I wanted to specify and clarify this for a lot of intuitive people and people who are learning to become intuitive and learning what are intuitive people, is that it's like this, okay? Think of it like a college level. You go, let's say you want to get let's say a degree in healthcare, okay? You got an AA degree, which is 2 years. Then you have a bachelor degree, 4 years, then a master degree, and then a PhD. Okay, so if you go to a 2 years college, how much knowledge and skill would you acquire from that versus someone who has a master degree? In order to be in a master level, one must attain certain numbers and experiences and the course hour being in academia and being able to share. And that's a higher level than bachelor degree. Well, doctors are like that, so as in intuitive, psychic people. There are psychic people who are on the AA level. Okay, they can tell you things, but they can't tell you more. But people like Andrew and I, I don't know what category I would put us in, because we are so well versed in variety, and at that level, it's more than just the guardian, more than just being the ambassador. It's like you are creating, not just co-creating anymore. You are actually creating. But like I said, that comes with tremendous amount of responsibilities and self-control. And that means tremendous amount of sacrifices as well. Because when you hold that position, you can't just be a little child and have temper tantrum when somebody causes you to become angry. One must control that and be at the Zen level all the time. So when you are out searching for psychic, explore what do they know and what are they familiar with. Some psychic will not be open to ET's information, and some psychic are not open to past lives. They're not familiar with karmic healing. And I know you do a lot of karmic healing as well. Is that right, Andrew?
Oh, yeah. A karmic healing, which relates to soul contract, which relates to fine print, which relates to soul family, because they're all interactive and co-creative. And then negative habit patterns that are passed on from family lineage to lineage. Mm-hmm. And that really helps define the person when they begin to understand those layers. And then the actual reading for the person, it interacts and creates with their life from the childhood, if they're stuck between an arguing family, if they grew up in what kind of home they grew up, identify that right away. And I know you do too. Yes. Let's talk about how you experienced your ancestor spirits and how you function with that, and then I'll give my little story there.
Okay, and I just wanted to add on what you're saying about the healing. It's on the scientific level, okay, and one can do the psychology aspect in order to change. Okay, not just you do it on the etheric level. Okay, there's different levels of doing it. Okay, now in my healing program, you do 4 aspects: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical level. So on the physical level, it also involves in changing your DNA at your cellular level, because in your cellular level, it has to be on the density. Okay, that's like changing from a rock to water. Water is easy to transmute, to transform. From water to ice, okay, because ice is more dense, so that's like the form of a hard matter, more density. And in an ice cube form, it is harder to change, so that's on the physical level, okay. So when I do ancestral healing, I do a ceremony, okay. I do a fire ceremony, which is based on the Tibetan Buddhist technology. And I say that as a technology, not so much as a religion. I do not practice a religion. I practice the technology. As one will know, the original group of Buddhists, as you can see in their scriptures, okay, and they're in a form of blue and green. They're not all humans, okay. They'll have big teeth, and sometimes they look really mean, like monster. Okay, so kind of also remind me of Krishna, okay, and Vishnu. So name it, all the Hindu gods, okay. So it's very similar to that. And so they were beings that monitor, okay, or take care. They're in the society that takes care a lot on the human transformation and for ascension. So they came down here and helping humanity with the ascension process. And Andrew and I were talking about this, how it was the least amount of religion that was hijacked. Okay, so but also I think that over the time people also hijacked that and changed that at that level as well. But so I see this as a technology. So I use that, okay, as part of the healing process for the ancestral soul. Okay, so now when you've done that, then on the present level, on the 3D, the present time, you have to go and then clean up your closet. Okay, so I see your house as your temple, your physical body, and over times we collect a lot of negativity Okay, and we stuff it in the closet until it's ready to explode. So we want us to go in that very closet and clean out a lot of negativity, a lot of thinking, the old way thinking, okay? And mind you, due to culture, religion, family, and also the media, the social media, all that trauma, or you have to go and change a lot of that. Okay, and most of the time when we are not using our intuitive ability and living in our heart space, we cannot decipher those information and see what is right for your higher soul. Okay, so we try to fit in the box that society places us in. We always have to fit. When we have hard time fitting, then that's where in crisis. Okay, when we're in crisis, then that's where the identity crisis comes into play, and then we don't always make the right decision or taking the right action. And then, of course, there's always consequences that follow that, whether it's positive or, negative. So I do provide life coach counseling, consultation, and typically it's always the follow-up. Okay, I give them, I would do a reading and I go back in time. I just have my client lay down or sit, and then I just sit there and I read their age from all the way to birth, 0, all the way to the present age. And I typically don't like to know about my clients when I read them until I just keep reading, 0 age, 4, 5, you did this, 6, and I just kind of go through until, let's say, there are, 62, and I would end there. And then I would ask them, how old are you? And they're like, 62. Sometimes I'd be off by a couple months. And so that's always fun doing that. And then just kind of read as much as you can, and then identify the trauma, the significant trauma that they experience in this present life. And, if it's not, then I go back to their past life karma. I mean, there's just so much to deal with. And when you have only 2 hours, it's just not enough to read, for a person who even is 30 years old, in 2 hours, that's just not enough to go through everything. And then I assign homework, and the homework, can take forever to fulfill, in terms of things that they have to fulfill. For example, this lady whom I met had a drinking and drug problems. At 16, her sister found her, hooked up with drugs on her wrist. She was shooting up, trying to get high, and fainted in the bathroom tub, and they had to take her to the ER. She nearly died. And as an adult, as soon as she was married, she drank till she fell backwards and become unconscious, and her sister had to come collect her. That just like usual things that they have to do. So she got to the point where, okay, let's bring Nickie over. So instead of, coaching her on, let's try to get rid of your alcoholic problems, drug problems. No, I did not approach it that way. I went into her karmic past. So I saw her soul in a fetal, sitting in the fetal position in the dark, and I asked, and I communicate with the soul, and I said, what are you doing? Why are you sad? And so when we have that conversation, and I think her problem was lack of love for herself and not having the courage. As soon as we acknowledge that, okay, brought out into the 3-dimensional current present, then I did a little quick healing, and whatever it is that I do. And mind you, the healing method is never a set. It's always individualized, case by case. Okay. So then I did my little whatever, and then I gave her assignment. I said, okay, so your assignment is to go and volunteer at the woman battered shelter. That's where you're supposed to go and volunteer. So it's almost like she had to, it's a place where she learns and also heal her karmic past as well. Because sometimes when it's almost like paying back, okay, of the negative past. So she went and did that, and she was fine. I never heard from her. Her sister said she was fine. She didn't have any problems again with alcoholic problems. So as much as she attended those AAA, she didn't have to do that anymore. Because when you heal people at the root cause of the problem, that's why karmic healing is so crucial in part of individual treatment plans. lot of times it's the karmic past that dictate our current life. Is that right?
Absolutely. And on top of that, you were talking about the ancestral closet. And
yes.
At times the whole soul family has a storage unit, and they all put all their negative karma in it. And I know you've encountered that concept. And recently I've been encountering that on a pretty big scale, where there's like several dozen soul families that have been sharing a karmic soul closet. Mm-hmm. And that right there is what's coming to head in our world, where so many of these soul families weren't allowed to resolve karma because of the negative reincarnation patterns, the hijacked question stuff. Mm-hmm. So you have these big lockers of soul family karma that's coming to. Mm-hmm. And alcoholism, honestly, if you look at it at a soul-based level, it can be cured. And this has been known since the 20s, when the spiritual evolution in the 20s spread around the world. Mm-hmm. They were curing people of alcoholism and drug use then, and they're still doing it now.
Yes.
And yes, you still need a support structure, and the reason why is the AA is a massive industry. Mm-hmm. If you stop going to the meetings, you're not paying your money for the meetings anymore. The whole law system is set up to make you go to Alcoholics Anonymous. So it's a cannibalistic system that's trying to get you to heal. And many people do heal. Like, example, I've met many different people that have been in AA, and they've been counselors, and they've watched friends die, but I look at them as the karmic people. Mm-hmm. And that is the wonder there, how the universe is setting up things behind the scenes.
Right. And I must add to that, and that is, the will, when you choose, your willpower is extremely powerful. I cannot say enough how powerful that is. With your willpower, you can change your DNA. You can heal your karmic past, but it must be a strong willpower.
And it's a process.
It's a process. Okay?
Not an event. Not an event.
It's not an event. That's right. So you don't need an energy healer. You don't need medication. You don't need any of that. You can do it within yourself. But it takes a super powerful people to go within. And not only that, most of those people have to do a lot of sacrifices to get to that point. Okay, so I want to be clear on that there are alternative ways. There are many methods of achieving your goal. But I personally am a shortcut because I understand metaphysics. I understand how the universe works. Because of that, I believe in shortcut. Why suffer when you don't have to, when you know the answers? If you don't know the answer, call Andrew, right? Mm-hmm. So, there are shortcuts. The shortcut is find the best person who knows psychic, okay, who's very psychic, and also who understand karmic, the universe, who's open-minded to ETs and other realms, okay?
It's so important because that's a layer that absolutely has to be recognized. And many times on my shows, I do species identification. Mm-hmm. And I know you've heard some shows, identify where you came from, where your home planet is, if you've migrated from another universe. And that's absolutely important in your karmic equation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. And because of that, okay, it'll answer a lot of the questions, because a lot of us, we're in turmoil. Because we're in turmoil, we get all the message we receive. Believe it or not, a lot of us are intuitive. We just don't know and at what level that we are intuitive. And we still get messages, but because we're so bombarded with so many distractions, the subtle messages come through, you don't even know it. You just kind of get a subtle hint. Oh, I see a hummingbird. I wonder what that means. And it just goes away. You never invest the time and create the connection of what level of that information is coming through, and depending on your period of time, of the day, and also where your life is, you get visited. I don't want to say bombarded. I say visited by so many levels of energies and realm. So, and when it comes fast, okay? For me, 1 second is equivalent to 1 hour. It takes forever. When you're in the quantum field, you work super fast. Sometimes you feel like an ADHD person. You're like, whoa, your mind is everywhere because you're going super fast level and at multiple dimensions. Does that happen to you too, Andrew?
all the time. Example, the show I did on Sunday, Walking in Energy with Chris Hale, Michael Monk, and Peter Sheldon, it was a 2-hour of stream of consciousness show of me being the galactic historian, and literally that 2 hours went by for like 10 minutes for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was on such a high level, and the amount of response that I gotten from that show, everybody had a download. And I know they're going to get a download from this show too. We're combining our own energy field and creating a morphogenic field. And when you were describing the double helix of energy coming out, there's a secondary layer there. When you are upgrading your DNA, there's a secondary tube of twisting form of light energy that comes down to your root chakra, which creates the golden tube of creation, which allows your light body to connect to the visible sine wave of your DNA. And that is the sine wave of your light body that's above the visible spectrum and below the physical spectrum. That's one of the key mechanics here of our awakening. It's allowing our DNA and our perception of our DNA to realize it doesn't end at the visible level.
That's right. And Tibetan Buddhism talk about this a lot, the activation. And, sometimes it comes in silver, sometimes it comes in gold, just depends on what you're doing and things like that and who you're activating with. When I saw my other friend, Jerry, I put 3 of us together, and the 2 gentlemen were face-to-face doing healing. And I sat there and just kind of felt like a moderator. And as soon as they finished, I said, okay, let's all three of us hold hands. As soon as we held hands, this energy portal, opened up. It's gigantic. And we're in a hotel room in the middle of LA. And we felt like nobody else existed. It was just 3 of us. And I'm being 5'2", 99 or 100 pounds on a good day. And these gentlemen were huge, and I'm sitting like this third person holding hand with these 2 guys, and this giant portal of energies opened up. I looked up and I saw like angels, like Saint Gabriel, tooting their horns, and it's like in this amphitheater light, but it's all clouds and bright light. It was magnificent. And as Jerry said, did you see the golden spiral, that coming from your root chakra? I'm like, yeah, we all got activated at a high level. So it was fascinating. When you are with your soul family, it really helps you get activated much faster.
Andre, do you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah. You guys are going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm loving it sitting here. And I'm not going to chip in too much, but what I want to add is, Nickie, your show, right, on Thursdays at 10 to 2 is pretty much focusing on health, right? Because what you're talking about is the physical is the temple for the conscious, right? And there's a huge effort to actually create this in the state of disease and lack of nutrition and stuff like that to prevent us actually self-healing. Because it takes a lot of courage and you have to invest a bit of your energy into that. But what happens is you move way ahead after you do that. And that's where we're all individually deliberately suppressed, right? So if you have the courage, and even Andrew said about alcoholism and stuff, well, you watch movies. I remember watching this movie just recently, and as a man, in that movie, the tough macho, it was actually the new Star Trek film, right? And the captain, he got disbarred from piloting the Enterprise. So what does he do? He goes and drowns his sorrows in a bar. And that's what the macho sort of image is. And it goes along the line of belief systems and all that. So it takes a lot of courage to actually change your existence and go into the unknown and take on a fresh, healthy diet. But what you get is the access to what Nickie and Andrew are talking about. So I just put that in, but fire up by it.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up, Andre. And my show is actually every Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. on Revolution Radio, and that's Pacific Standard Time. And in order for one to be performing at the level, this high level, you really have to take care of your body. And many of my clients are master healers, They would come in and they would be wiped out. When you are completely wiped out, you are gone. gone. That means you will lose your intuition. Those of you who know what I'm talking about, when you just imagine waking up one day and your intuition, your gift and abilities are completely disappeared. It's the most scariest things ever. And of course, I experience this and I question myself, what if one day I wake up and all of these gifts are just completely gone? I felt like my part of me just died. Okay. And I said, you know what? That should be part of my goal. My goal is to educate the people out there, especially the energy worker, the light workers, all the intuitive, the psychic, and also the normal general populations out there who are not awakened, because this all relate to all of you. Because as long as you have this human physical body, we will operate same. Okay, we have the same organs. Okay, in terms of how it functions, and the DNA, that's going to be different, but the structure are similar. Okay, everyone has all the basic. Okay, not 100% completely the same. Okay, so now that being said, the general organs that you wanted to focus on, okay, is your adrenal glands. Okay, all the glands, the endocrine system in your physical body is corresponded to what the Hindu call chakras, okay? And they name 7 main ones. Now the Chinese go in deeper and they identify all what's called the meridians, okay? Now I consider the chakra, the 7th one, as the main train station, okay? This is where they all meet. And then they spread out throughout the physical body where the little, pinpoints, the meridians. So the biggest one that you wanted to focus on is what the Chinese call the lower dantian, which is about 2 inches below your navel. And if that's the frontal side, if you run that finger, okay, around your waist and to your back, you will hit the adrenal glands. So your adrenal gland is part of your 2nd chakra, is your lower dantian. And also that's very close to your root chakra, and also to your 3rd chakra as well. These are the lower form that helps you stay grounded, that keeps you being human, okay, in terms of the physical level, okay. In terms of the 4, 5, and 6, okay, those are where you connect to the higher divinity, okay. That is all other part of being human that other beings that coming in from other planets would want to possess and can also connect with you at that level as well. And also it's part of the mechanic that you have to help you for the ascension process. Okay, you cannot ascend without those chakras. Okay, so the 3. You need to take care of your adrenal glands. It is the powerhouse of everything. Without your adrenal gland functioning, okay, your thyroid will not produce your thyroid hormone. Your thyroid produces T3, T4, and also your sex hormones. Okay, for those of you who have low libido, who's not producing it, have hard time with sex, low energy, feel fatigue, losing weight or overweight, okay, depending if you're hyperthyroid or hypothyroid, then you really need to take care of your thyroid and taking your iodine. The iodine itself doesn't, it's just not enough. You need to take selenium, like eating Brazil nuts. It has a lot of selenium. There's other sunflowers, okay, sesame seeds that you can eat also to provide the nutrients to help support your thyroid, okay? And then you also need to, when you take care of your adrenal glands, you need to take care of your cortisol. You need to have your cortisol. For those of you who feel, fatigue syndrome, you go to see a doctor and the doctor says, oh, you don't have a problem. There's nothing wrong with you. And you're like, but I'm always tired. I can't sleep. That's a good clue for you. If you have a hard time sleeping at night, if you're super sensitive, okay? When I say that super sensitive, auditory. If you hear a little sound, you jump, you panic, you start screaming. That's a sign of stress. Your body is not having enough cortisol to respond to outside stimuli. Okay. Now another thing is and I did a show, this whole thing on that. To get enough cortisol, you have to there are supplements that you can take. Okay, I take Delgado Protocol, and that's the www.delgado protocol. Call them up, give them my name, please, and if you wanted to order the stuff, that's the one I use. Okay, I take between 1 to maybe 5 a day, depending on the level of stress and that I encounter, and allow me to define stress. Stress doesn't necessarily mean mental or physical. Okay, dealing with work, family, friends, relationship. Stress can also mean when you do sensitive work. If you are out there and you are performing, you're changing the weather, you're creating rain or creating vortexes, and you're doing long distance energy healing, or you're doing massage therapy, okay, energy healing, Reiki, whatever that may be. You need to support your adrenal glands. And most healer will come to me and say, but I'm just a channel, and the high energy comes in. Yeah, it's true. You're the channel. The high energy comes through. But guess what? You're still the physical body. The energy has still run through you. Okay. And so the cellular level has to respond to the environment that's coming through. And that could be classified as stress because it's a high amount of energy. Okay, and for those of you who expose yourself to outside energy like Pleiades and Arcturians, what have you, excuse me, first of all, they're not human. They're not at this level. You are still holding the human body, different frequency. Every energy is like fingerprint. It runs on different frequency. Okay, when you are intuitive, you will be able to identify a person by person, whether that's an ET person, that's a walk-in, or that's a real human. It runs on different energy. Okay, so be aware of that. And I see people go out and they're embracing, the Pleiades, high energies, and transforming, and everybody wants to be high frequency. It's not, your body cannot always integrate it, okay? And I've done this experiment where I went with my friends, and because they embrace this Pleiades energy, and I'm very familiar with Pleiadians, myself, and so I brought my little T-nano tool, and I said, here, while they were integrating, okay, I said, here, put this on your heart chakra. They were able to integrate the energy much better, so they can raise their frequency much faster. Just remember, you're human and they're not human. Bridging that in may be difficult. It takes longer. And if you come in with a bang of energy, high frequency, you will shock the human physical body at cellular level, and it will get confused. It will throw it off balance. It will not know what to do, and it will start questioning. Your adrenal glands will have to work harder. The adrenal glands, it's got its own little, brain, and it's going to go crazy. Like, what do I do with these energy? It's going to have to work around running, okay, at that pace, trying to figure out what to do with the high amount of energy that's coming through. So it has to process all of that and change its route and a routine, how to process the energy, okay? Take the adrenal glands. That helps. Yes.
We have a question, and this is going to go right into the way you're intricately describing the layers of these energy, and what she's saying is absolutely true. Your adrenal glands, when they're overworked and you're functioning with alien energies or human energies with deep past life, it can severely screw your adrenal gland up. The question is, tell us about the relationship between the solar plexus and heart chakra. Could Nickie or Andrew elaborate on that, please?
Andrew? Do you wanna elaborate on that?
The heart chakra is very unique. It's where your soul energy comes through, and your solar plexus is how you empower your aura so that your heart can function in the complete energetic system. The heart energies are generally green, though at times they can have a tremendous amount of spiritual energy in them. When you're functioning with your heart energy, you're actually using all of your organs' energies, and your organs are big, giant batteries, as well as information storage and creation machines. So when your heart and your solar plexus are functioning in order, you are balancing the elements that function for the whole energy body. And the elements are vitally important: wind, wood, water, metal, and earth. When all those are incorporated and used properly in the organ energy, the heart chakra completely functions and allows the solar plexus to give you the spiritual locomotion to tackle your karmic contracts, spirit contracts, or life stresses.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The heart chakra for me, okay, the first time I saw my heart chakra in the Kirlian photograph, it was actually pink. And for years, I could not see green. Green is one of the blind colors that I have, okay? And this is before I was even awakened at this level. And I had a really hard time mixing yellow and green together. I cannot see. I'm like colorblind with that color, and I don't know why. And so for many years, my heart chakra was actually pink. When I do my meditation in the dark, not in the light, in the dark, I can actually see colors with my eyes closed.
So
I cannot see green. Cannot see green for the life of me. And I say to myself, I'm intuitively, colorblind.
do you know why you saw pink?
Why?
Because during the Lemurian times, the heart chakra's color was pink. This color spectrum was different. We were in a different density of space. Mm-hmm. When you incarnated this lifetime, you brought the density of that old time with you. Yes. It's very important because you're a spiritual scientist. Mm-hmm. You in Lemuria and Atlantis, you took all of those concepts and you made them a singular concept. That's why you see everything as technology. Yes.
And in terms of pink, okay, not only that, I've also noticed that the pink is also associated with having the global compassion for humanity. Yep. And that's also the pink. And I've noticed that in many years of my life, for those of you who don't know, I survived the Vietnam War, lost my family, lost my father. All my family got separated. We lost everything. I came from political family and diplomatic family back in Laos. And that was during, the 70s. And, watch your mother cry and suffer, and you had, 4 other siblings with you, and, we lost everything. And it took us 6 years to get out of Laos and to be in America. So, and through all of that, you got sibling rivalry and, having to deal with life, harsh life, everything. And I've been tested time after time. And my compassion for people has not changed. It has always been the same. So when I saw my pink chakra, that's when I realized, yeah, that is true. I can confirm with that because I know I've been beaten down so many times, including while I was in the U.S. growing up. It is not easy when you come to the U.S. and you don't speak the language nor the culture, and people will take advantage of you. I remember I went to a community college taking classes there, and there's a Caucasian guy, huge guy, very athletic. And he came over and started taunting me. And I was like probably 5 feet, probably 89 pounds at a time, taunting me. And I'm looking at this guy. He made me cry. And I'm thinking, what is that? Is that humanity? That was my question. At his best, this guy is huge. Why didn't he pick someone his own size? That's just one example. But, yeah, so, I've been tested many times and my heart chakra has not changed.
I think we lost.
Green.
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
We've got a break coming up. You just faded out there. We've got a break coming up. I want to remind everybody, Revolution Radio, and Wolf Spirit Radio, which is simulcasting the show, is a listener-supported station. Drop on by that site support button. If you also want to sign up for the archives so you can download all the archives, it's only $5 a month. It's nothing. You also are a big person in the chat room. You can go and sign up to get a little image for your chat room pic, and that's only $5 also, though it does take time for the image to be created and inserted into the program. Nighthawk here has done an outstanding job putting together Studio A and Studio B. Why don't you check out our Schedule A and Schedule B, and Nickie's show is on Thursdays from 7 to 9 Pacific time. I'm on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. East time. I also do a show Tuesday night, 9 to 11 on Wolf Spirit Radio. And tonight I will be on the Collective Imagination show on Blog Talk Radio with Lisa Harrison and Chris Hale. All right, that is our break music. We'll be back after the top of the hour. All right, everybody, hang on.
Andrew, you might be muted, mate.
Andrew?
You are correct. I am muted. And
I got you back. I got you back.
Well, welcome back to the second hour of Adventures in Reality. Today we have Nickie Thetsy and Andre Hodge. We're going to continue our conversation. That was an amazing hour. It flew by in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I call it the quantum leaping hour or time.
I want to let people know we've had Nickie and I and Andre have had such an amazing connection off air over the last 2 weeks that, you know, for her coming on is just such a treat and a pleasure for me to work with someone that gets it on so many levels and then has applied it to her life and is not going to let herself fall back into disrepair. Because there are many, many people in the psychic industry that allow themselves to fall into disrepair and are still doing 40 hours a week. And that's so vitally important at these times of change that you, the individual, not just the people in the industry, take time for yourself. We were talking about the heart chakra and its relation to the solar plexus. The entire thing is an energetic system that needs to function properly. There are so many people that don't use their lower chakras or they use and abuse them through sexual misconduct or through so many different things that their energy systems are so broken down that they begin to get
fragmented.
Fragmented. And then they get the fluids that they hold in their adrenal glands or any of the other spots, those fluids are polluted and eating improperly or any of the other things that go on. But now I want to get back into just real touch on the soul family real quick. And I would mention the fact that there's this big storage unit of all this karma. And as we come into this time of personal awakening and personal claiming of free will and personal healing, when you go to heal yourself with another healer or by yourself, one of the primary things you can do is identify with your own free will what you believe your contracts are. And then the more you talk about them and write about them is where you can learn that they are multidimensional, multi-understanding, and your perspective can help define them, and your perspective can also limit them. You know, when it comes to ancestor spirits, Nickie was giving a brief descriptions about her ancestor spirits. When it came for me, I was very, very young, and my great-grandfather and my grandfather, they came forward and they helped me understand what was in my ancestral lineage on my mother's side. I didn't meet my father's ancestor lineage until I was in my early 30s, actually. They were quite away from me, and it's because of the type of soul family that they were and what I was meant to be doing this life. Had I met them early on in my life and resolved that karma, this part of my life, I wouldn't have resolved half of the things I did, and I wouldn't have been where I'm at. So it came out in perfect synchronicity and perfect timing. When you choose to work with synchronicity, you have to let it happen. The second you use the law of expectation and limit synchronicity, you diffuse so much of its energy.
That's right. I have always grew up in an environment in which I created for myself, and that is no limitations, okay? No limitations. I have no identity. People ask me, Nickie, who's your guru? Who's your teacher? You know, what method are you using for healing? And, you know, I'm like, nothing. What certification do you have? I don't have any really certification besides 2 bachelor in science and one master in education, and that's because I had to, you know, make the living in this 3D lifetime, okay? In terms of energetic and all of that, I already done my portion in many past lives. I just had to go and embrace that part of me. Okay, so that's what I did, and I really encourage those of you to you know, talk to people like Andrew, seek your Akashic records, find out your past, and bring that past, that DNA that you still hold, and embrace that. You can actually, it's a shortcut, okay, to, let's say, going through the university and getting your degree in energy healing or embracing your gifts, okay? So I think there's a lot of shortcuts, and the key is finding someone who is amazingly powerful in their psychic ability without limitations, and who's much more open-minded, because there's still, as we're sitting here speaking, there are other things that are still being created. You know, it is possible to create a planet. For someone like me, I already created a planet. You know, it's not that hard, and you can create this planet just by whatever rule law you wanted to create. okay, and at the same time. But, in order to do high-level energy, one has to understand that you have to be enlightened, okay? Just because you're awakened, there are different levels of awakening, okay? Just because you're awakened 1, 2 step, it doesn't mean you're fully awakened or enlightened. Now, I've known people that are just amazingly psychic and powerful, okay, in doing sensitive work, but they use their first 3 chakra, so your throat, their pineal gland, their third eye, and their crown, and everything else is kind of like, especially the first 3, your basic human. This is the mechanic for your human physical body that carries a lot of your present life DNA karmic past. You have to deal with that. If you don't, those people are very emotional. They're not the most rational people. So be aware of that, okay? And a lot of times people don't know, because those people, they tend to go and hide somewhere out in the mountains or whatever. And, you don't really know a person until they are faced with challenges. Okay, when their button is pushed, that's when the true personality comes in. Okay, so if you truly want to know, like me, I just subject myself. If I have fear in the ocean water, every summer I force myself to go in the ocean water, and I dealt with it. Like I said, willpower, go within and deal with it. You can overcome the DNA, your karmic past, just by dealing with the willpower. But it takes a lot of work. Okay, otherwise get some help, and then also healing it at the physical level as well.
Let's talk about how the elements, the 5 elements, interact with us. And I know you have a big concept on that.
The 5 elements, in what aspect?
Okay, metal, energy.
Manipulating
wind,
it,
metal,
transforming.
Wind.
Okay.
It's balancing it in yourself. It represents that there's an energetic vibration to that concept, and then the physical. And at times you need water in your life, the physical water. No matter how much you drink, you could be just burning up all of your water energy, or your metal energy can be so hot that it prevents water from getting in there. And beginning to identify that is so vital in your healing process, that you bring balance to your energy system so that it doesn't put up the detours to go around this chakra or to go around the adrenal gland. Because when your body starts putting up detours and lights and signs, it's telling you something is wrong. And the elements are a good way to douse what's going on with you.
Those elements are very, it's very basic for different parts of the world. And, the Greek talks about it, and so is the Chinese. And as for me, the way I use elements, okay, I would pick different elements. Okay, and then I would work with that. For example, one time I was working with water element. I would jump in the water all the time, being exposed to water. Then I would meditate, okay? I'd be in dry land in my room, sacred space, and meditate. And you transform the water, okay? So you can change objects. So now you become the alchemist now, okay? You can use the water element for healing. You can use it for healing yourself. You can use it for sealing, creating a seal, a program, okay? Now, mind you, one does not have to drink water, okay, in order to activate the water element. You can use the water energy just by touching it, okay? For example, okay, trying to make it simple. Okay, one time a friend of mine tried to introduce me to mushroom. A quick example, okay? A friend of mine who's very, very powerful metaphysically, trying to give me mushroom, LSD kind of mushroom, okay? And to, play with. And I am allergic, 100%, 200% allergic to all forms of drugs you can imagine, including pot, weed, and I don't promote that usage at all. And then I'll explain later why. So, and I'm looking at this mushroom, right? And this guy, he totally is into drugs, to get high, to get to where he needs to be. And I'm like, okay, so let me figure out how to do this. So and all you have to do is put in your hands You absorb the energy, and you can have a conversation. Each living things, even non-living things, possess energy attachment in some form. It holds a memory, and that it's a living. It has its own personality, has its own soul. So I'm conversing with this mushroom, okay, that can get you really high, and I actually absorb the energy through my hands and allow it to run through my body, and I felt the energy of LSD. So when people ask me, Nickie, have you done drugs? I'm not sure how to say yes or no to that yet, but that's a form of how one can manipulate with energy. Okay.
Absolutely.
So with any of the elements, it can be rocks, it can be water, and I'm in my birth sign, I'm a double metal. So that means the mental aspect is very strong. And because of that, you can use the water element to, like I said, heal yourself. Okay, I self-heal myself from tuberculosis without energy healing or drugs, herbs, nothing at all. Just go in straight meditation and do that. I also can reduce my heart rate to near death point, where you almost stop your heart rate. And that has having to do with going within, tapping into the water element in your physical body, and also communicating with your cellular level. Okay, I could feel blood running through my veins, no problem. Okay, I could feel my organs talking to me. That's how in tune I am with the physical body. So as an alchemist, you don't just do the outside. Okay. Playing with energy on the outside, transforming, creating water element, okay? Like trying to create rain, so you're dealing with water element. If you're trying to, and of course create rain to, put out fire, in which I had to do several years ago, or, knowing how to use the element to offset a different elements as well. Okay, that's just a basic foundation, okay, in terms of elements. And I know I'm just going to go off subject a little bit. In terms of transformation, this is like transformation of the elements. Then to go even further, you can even transform your physical body. Like I said, healing is a basic. Okay, to be a master healer, one has to master healing himself or herself, or with the meditation. Okay, so that includes in that package. So the upper level of that is morphing. Transforming. Okay, you can morph into a different body. Like in the Mayans culture, the Aztec, how the warriors, especially the king, before they go out, they transform themselves into the jaguar. Okay, and into what else do they transform into? Alligator. They bring in the significant energy characterized by these animals to help them transform them into that being in order to go out into the war. Okay, so you can transform yourself. I've transformed myself into dragons, and I had the shaman who I met at the powwow, who never met me for the first time, look at me and they're like, I've seen you as a shaman riding on the head of the dragon before you show up. You are that very shaman. You're looking at this person. Are you crazy? So people do know. Okay, people can tell who you are, especially, of course, special significant people that are coded. They can see you when you can do that. In order to do that at that level, let's go back to the physical, you need to take care of your adrenal glands. If you don't have enough adrenal glands, the endocrine system properly functioning, you cannot transform yourself at a magnificent level. And I had this gentleman, okay, Ron Gold, that came onto my show, and his neighbor was this lady that used to work with, the queen's mom, and, she'd been exposed to like Eisenhower and some other ex-presidents back in the old days. And because they're neighbor, he had, inside information. And this lady, she's done this tour like worldwide and being watched and all of that. And he said to me, they were at the bar, and he said, can you change your body right now into, reptilian? Because she was a reptilian bloodline. She goes, no, I can't. He goes, why? Because I don't have enough endocrine system. That's why I cannot transform. Another thing he said to me was that the queen moms, okay, they would bring in an innocent victim, petrify them, and drink the endocrine system, okay, for them to change their the endocrine system, fuel them, allowing them to change into the human form and stay in the 3D level instead of transform into the 4D reptilian body. Okay, so in order to be 3D, they have to drink, somebody else's endocrine system. And that, to me, as sounds as fictional as it is, it just correlates and validates to what I know, and that is your endocrine system, also based on the subject. I'm the guinea pig. And that is, for me to transform, you need to have healthy endocrine system running. And some of you are really pushing that gas on that empty, fuel tank, and that is dangerous because you will get to the point where adrenal explode and you're out, okay, for 10 years, 20 years, or for life. Okay, I met those people. They are the master shaman, name it, and they're out of commission. So don't get yourself there. Take care of your physical body. Okay, water elements, very important. I've used all elements, all of them, to manipulate energies, to transform things, for healing, for creating rain, earthquake, whatever that may be. I hope I answered the question.
You did an outstanding answer.
I have a question as well, Andrew, and this probably puts into perspective some of the things that maybe you've put out there in public and in our chats as well, and in relation to the individual's endocrine system, because the trigger for releasing the adrenochrome in the individual is a fear, and the fear state. So we look at the media and events going on that influence the masses, and we're all sensitive to the other states of each other and stuff like that. So the fear state basically milks the individuals of their life force. And this goes back to sort of the mystery school sort of beginnings of this whole chat, because it goes into the individual self-empowerment and not buying into that fear state. Do you have anything to add on that?
Oh, absolutely. The fear state, when you are functioning in it, you're using the media system, it's running a program on you, so your adrenal glands work absolutely in overtime. So you are filling yourself up. And then there are entities that go through the big cities, as I was describing cities as sacred geometry cities, and they go block by block by block, and they look for something that's like a fruit tree that's ready to be harvested, quite literally. And if you if you haven't dealt with your ancestral karma, these beings have access to you. That's why ancestral karma is so vitally important, because that's their access point to you. When your endocrine system is overloaded and they haven't harvested you, it's because you're a manifester and you're spreading fear to everyone else. Just the slightest little copy and paste or share on a Facebook page, you don't realize that you're feeding that energy, because it's a train. It's like adding another car to the train over and over and over again. And 2012 was all about the fear and creating so much confusion of what's fear and what's real that you couldn't tell the difference. And everyone's endocrine system was working triple time that whole year. And then we got baked by solar flares. Then we had multiple, planetary alignments that twisted our energies in a different way. And this year we've had a lot of silence. And now these people are trying to just put out in prediction, the May 17th and June 1st people at the underworld. Bull hockey. We are manifesting beings. Stop being afraid. Stop spreading the fear porn. Look inside yourself. Heal yourself. Look into your karma. Stop investing into those things that promote more cars on the train of fear.
Mm-hmm. These are very basic, and I know a lot of our listeners out there are familiar. Well, these are not new information, okay? It is not new information at all. So what is the questions that we must ask within ourselves next is that what is allowing us to continue thinking this way, having this fear, continuous fear cycle? How do we stop all of this? Okay, and for me, I really think that, it's just, you got to put your foot down. You got to go into meditation. It's the easiest way to go. Okay, stop watching television, more influence. Cut away all the distraction, and that will limit a lot of negativity that comes in. Now, when it comes to love, okay, when you focus on the love frequency, it really helps deteriorate all the distraction. Okay, love does conquer all. Unconditional, pure unconditional love. Okay, so one must define that in this culture. That pure unconditional love is the highest frequency that can overcome many darkness. But the question is, what is your faith believing at that frequency? So it is important to douse yourself, to swim, and like a fish in this high frequency of unconditional love. I'm not saying that you should completely, turn your cheek away from people that are negative. And when we give to even negative people, we gain something. So mind you that when you take a step back and take care of those lower frequency that needs you, you're actually gaining, perhaps double karmic credits. Okay, versus you're dealing with someone who is already enlightened soul. Okay, so it's a different level of energy, karmic credit that you're receiving from that. But it takes a strong person having to deal with someone that's lower than them, because it's humility. Humility comes with understanding, comes with compassion, and let's not forget wisdom. Wisdom is very important, because sometimes giving and also can mean not giving at all.
Yep. Action turns knowledge into wisdom.
That's right.
When you are in a knowledge state, you aren't in a wisdom state because you haven't allowed the action of experience.
Yeah.
We have a question from the chat room I want to get to. This is from Thunderbird. In the contract model of a karmic universe, can we have all the same legal problems we're currently having with our contracts, social and commercial model of the physical world? The answer is no and yes. It's not as defined as human linguistics. It's written in a soul language, and you have universal law, which is separate than the planetary law. Earth has set up a series of rules that have been overridden with another set of rules. So it does relate in that contract model where you have two sets of courts or two sets of governments overriding with different concepts. And what falls in is you have contracts that relate only to an Earth base that were made tens of thousands or millions of years ago, that can become active now and completely override the contracts of today. And Nickie and I are an example of that. The types of contracts that we've written in over our 10,000 lifetimes or 100,000 lifetimes were literally written to override or break the model of contracts that exist today.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've always considered myself as a rebel. I don't like contracts. I don't like to be regulating under anybody's rules. But it doesn't mean that I don't play the game. And I use that word as the game because it is a game. I've been an educator. I've been in the school system. I've been a professor. Okay, I have 3 degrees. I've done my part. I played the game. Okay. But it doesn't mean that you have to sell yourself, okay, into the game. As long as you know it's a game, you can respect that boundaries and play within that field, but don't lose yourself in it. Okay, that's a high level of understanding. It's like when you go to work, you play the work game, the politics, whatever. You come home, leave your work at home. There are those people that bring their work home and they act in their home, and that's how their families start falling apart, because at home there should be more love. Okay, in terms of contracts can be broken. Okay, depending on what it is, and also sometimes depending on what kind of contract, it doesn't take that long to break the contract. Okay, or resolve. I think my favorite word is probably resolve is better than breaking, because you can resolve that contract in a fast pace. Like I said, you need to find a really good psychic person, to tap into those energy. Okay, like Andrew. Okay, I myself go back all the time, find my contract, then I figure out what is the best way to resolve this. You can communicate with the soul, okay, or the beings, and ask them, what do I have to do? Okay, what are the technology that's available? Okay, I use the Tibetan Buddhist technology to help resolve a lot of my karmic past. And let me tell you, 2 hours, that's all I needed. I didn't need to do anything else. Okay, in terms of homework wise, you have to change your thinking pattern and all of that. And and sometimes you do have to work on that level. Change your words, change your attitude. You got to change all of that negativity. and then, do your karmic stuff, and then it'll be gone. So it doesn't take that long. There's always tricks of everything, shortcuts. Okay, we know so much nowadays that, you don't have to spend 10 years, 20 years going to see a psychotherapist and trying to heal of your old habits. If you have, bad sexual problem, you're cheating on your wives or on your husband, it's not the cheating problem. Sometimes it's just your adrenal gland is down and your cortisol is off, and all you have to do is fix your cortisol and you're done. Most drug addicts, the problem is their cortisol is down.
Yep.
Okay? So they have this craving and they want high. They want to go high. So they take drugs. They drink Red Bulls. That's just as bad. Then the body, it lies to the body, and the body, chemicals like, oh, that's the high, since I can't get cortisol. So that's how you become addicted. As long as you treat yourself with high amount of cortisol, from research studies, it indicate that you can actually overcome drug addicts, alcohol, whatever that may be. Sometimes it's that simple,
You're
Take
right.
5 pills a day.
It is. For those people that are listening and that the audio seems to be cutting in or out, the recording should be perfect. I don't have any delays here in the server, though. At the beginning, at the top of the hour, we had a little bit of delay, so I'm going to apologize for anyone that's listening. It's something going on in the stream or within the Winamp server that you have. Right now, we've done an hour and a half, and it seems like 10 minutes.
I know.
I know I
also
have a big list of questions, so why don't you ask one of those?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first question I would mention about Akhenaten, you went off into Lemuria, so I'm not even going to bother about that, and it doesn't matter. Like, the flow is amazing. Nickie, you talked about, the elements and stuff, and the sea was something that you feared, right? So what you did, you actually went out and explored it. So we sort of talked about just before about how the fear state is sort of imposed on us without our awareness. Mm-hmm. And myself, right? So we're talking about healing as well. So when I was broken and stuff, I found that me personally, it was a huge healing thing to actually seek help from a healer, because the healer came into my world, right? Like a teacher, like you guys, right? So, exploring fear, like fear is like the ego. It's an aspect of our existence, but mastery of that state and recognition of it is actually really powerful as well, right? So
that's right. I encourage people to embrace their fear and their ego. Okay, I really do, because you know what? Why fight something that you have? It's like saying, hey, I was born with 5 toes, okay? So why are you telling me to only function with 4 toes? That doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Okay? It's a question of how do you use it. Okay? There will be days when you wake up or you'll meet people that will put you down to point of dirt. And you're going to need your ego and pick yourself up and kick yourself in the butt and say, you're going to stand up against these people, and you are not these people, what they claim you are. And that's where the ego comes in.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Listen to her wisdom here. Absolutely. Your ego is a functional part of you. It is a survival mechanism.
Exactly.
And when you begin to retask it, you give it purpose. And by giving it purpose, you get all 5 of your toes.
That's right. You use all 5 of your toes, and then you proudly and happily accepting yourself. You know what happened when you reject part of your body? It's like walking around. I'm rejecting my right toe. How does that feel to you? Try to put tape on it and walk with it. How do you think that's going to feel? Ask people who've been amputated. I'm going to tell you, they're going to feel like they're missing. There's something. Their part of them is still there on the etheric level. Okay, and this is scientifically proven, okay? So don't reject yourself. Embrace who you are and laugh about it and tell yourself it's okay, acceptance, and forgive yourself that, yes, I have a lot of ego, and that's okay, as long as you know not to abuse it like everything else. A lot of times people, you can drink alcohol for metaphysic people, just don't abuse it. Don't overdo it. Right. There are people that are alcoholics, addicted to chocolate, they're fetish about things, you know what I mean? And they get it all dramatized about we all have little habits of things, okay? And that's all it is, putting out emotional attachment to things. So don't do that. Just limit. If you don't put emotional attachment to it, find a different words, because words is a connotation. In our society, we attach word with emotions and actions, and also in sense of taste, sight, and sound, to a point where it ingrains and programs it into our limbic system and other parts of the brain where it functions at cellular level. That's why you have to deprogram. Okay, deprogramming, changing your words that you use. You know, people say to me, Nickie, you're on Revolution Radio. It's so, it's so anti-against, and it's very war and warlike. And I'm like, no. That's your definition. That's society definition. That doesn't have to be me. I'm a creator, so I can create whatever I want.
Right.
Revolution Radio, it can be embracing the fact that we are here as a revolutionist. And I know you too, Andrew. We're here to embrace our inner self, our self-empowerment. We're not here to point fingers at Illuminati, blah, 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 because you know what? That's such as life, as the French would say, c'est la vie, right? There's always flaws in everything. In everything. It's all subjective, very, very subjective. Mm-hmm. When you reach a higher enlightenment, no attachment into the object, then it doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly. And our karmic perspective, the Cabal, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, they're contracted to do that on a higher level. And yes, there are some people that are abusing the rules, broken rules, which are coming to a head now. But again, this is a perfect system that's been planned out. But you still have free will to operate in the perfect system, and that's called synchronicity. We can stop synchronicity, and when we limit synchronicity, we limit our abilities. And there are people that totally function on synchronicity and miracles, whatever you want to call them, living in the moment, how you function. Nickie and I live in the moment. This show was in the moment. It was barely planned, and it was absolutely wonderful to have everyone here. And we'll have to do this again. We've got about 25 minutes. Where do you want to take this next?
I can sort of guide you guys, right? Because you're sort of setting out what you, Andrew, have been putting out there in many weeks, right? And this is getting to the sacred, neutral point of view. Because once you observe the whole thing, you don't actually have to buy into it, right? You can accept it. But the key is the individual in the self-development. Once you accept it all, then you can really work on yourself. And then the system has no power over you individually, and then you can master it. And all the tools of the trade, the fear sort of porn and the programs that imposed on us by beliefs and culture and stuff have no effect. And that's where we will really, become powerful.
Yeah,
so, go for it, guys.
I would like to shed another light for those people. Our human body, okay, you can see it as almost like a computer. Okay, we're born with it. We need to program. We have the old program system in place. You have to get rid of that old program, just like a computer. You got to go and uninstall it and install the new latest version of it. Okay, when you install the new latest version where it's current, it'll be function at a more optimal level. Okay, by that being said, you also have to maintain the computer. That's your function, your organs. Okay, and but with being human, okay, you can have all your knowledge. It doesn't matter. It's the heart chakra. It's the most important. Of all the chakras, the heart chakra that allows you to manifest, to live in the quantum field, to do sensitive work at a larger scale. Okay, that is the divinity of being human, is to have that heart chakra connected to the third and the crown chakra. In order to get a pure information running through this system, okay, you have to go and clean your house out. Otherwise, you'll get interference. A lot of times people say, well, I'm not intuitive, and, why am I not? I've been working on it. Well, sometimes you have to look at the piece, look at your pineal glands, and look at your heart. Really dig deep, because I'm an empath, and I can see things just like a movie, and I have this thing of sense of knowing, and I can hear. Okay, so for me, it's like if I'm listening to music piece, particularly classical music that I never heard before, if I listen to 1 minute of it, I already knew which pattern of the music, the keys are going to be played already. Okay, so you know the future, what's already coming. And I could see this how, musicians who are very gifted, this is probably one of the skills that they have. But, you can have all the gift, but it cannot function without the heart chakra. The heart chakra has to be opened. And when this system are open, you can also have magnificent dream time. Is that right? And you interpret dreams all the time, Andrew.
Oh, yeah. The heart chakra, when you're born as a fetus, your heart's the first thing that's formed. And there's actually a little brain inside your heart and a little microorganism system of your entire energy system. So literally the heart is the manifest which allows you to exist in this realm, in this time frame, in this thing we call reality. Separate of everything else. When we're inside your womb of your mother, that's your reality, surrounded by an ambionic sac that's listening to the heartbeat of your mother and the heartbeat of the earth mother. And as you begin to form a fetus and you grow bigger and bigger and you come out and you go through the birth canal and you go through the forgetting, because it's part of the rules of this world, it's for a reason, so that the heart can truly experience this experiential world and allow it to live itself in pure union and love, no matter how screwed up this system is. That's why returning to your heart is the greatest form of healing. And through your heart is where you'll learn to understand your dreams, as well as to heal parts of yourself that won't allow you to dream. I get this all the time. I don't remember any of my dreams. I don't. Well, it's because you have issues of your heart, issues of your root chakra, as well as other things. If you really want to start remembering your dreams, function with your heart. Put your hand over your heart so you feel the warmth of your hand till it gets, blazingly hot. Everyone's experienced the hot hands feature when they put their hands over the certain part of their own body, or when they touch a loved one and your hands are so vitally warm. That's love energy. And when you're functioning with the love energy over your own heart, just put your own hand there, sit back and relax, let the heart energies build, and spread it around. That's how we function and interact with the world. At times, the heart can have 3, 6, 9, or 12 petals, and there are some people that have a 13th petal of a heart, the heart lotus. And when you're functioning on that level, you're bringing in the great heart powers of other lifetimes and crossing dimensions and realities so that the total being of you spearheads through heart energy into this reality and opens up the petal of love.
That's right. And that's beautifully said. Thank you, Andrew. And, I found a technique because over the years I've seen so many people struggle, with developing intuition and having dream. And I realized that people who cannot remember their dreams or think that they don't dream are not the happiest people on earth, okay? And you can tell by through their marriage and their personality. It's like they're walking around wearing sand in their pants all the time, okay? So I found a technology in which I created, I call it the T-Nano, and you can go to my website for that, tnano.net, and I created this disc where it's called I am one with universal, I am one with creator. This particular one's very special. You put it underneath your pillow, and it actually helps you having a lucid dream. Okay, lucid dreaming meaning you are dreaming, and it's very vivid. And you can change the future just by going into that vivid dream itself. I had many clients that, called and they always had tons of stories to share with me. And you can go to my website. There's a couple of testimonies in there and, people describing their dreams. And people even with brain injury, describing having the brain dream experience. And Dr. Luba, who's a Russian doctor that I work with and used to work with NASA and now with the military testing her 3D body scan, she and I got together and we did this whole experiment where before and after effect. And, before she looked at my brain and I had a brain injury, because I had a trauma to my head and my hypothalamus actually shifted. Because it shifted, my body cannot regulate body temperature. So I'm always cold. And so she said, she doesn't know why my brain doesn't have high amount of oxygen. And yet I said, well, let's figure it out. So before, a lot of damages, different parts of the brain not getting enough oxygen. Then as soon as I grabbed my technology, you can see the graph. It's all in colors. And she said, you have an improvement of oxygen consumption in your brain, all the different parts of your brain, okay, by 40%. Now, how is that possible? I'm staring at this graph, in the computer. It's all systematic with the computer. It's beautiful. And I wish I can post it, but they're not allowed because you have to be a certified medical doctor in order to post any of these information. So I can only, allow to talk about it. And, but I do have a copy just personally for myself. So anyways, you can see the difference. And if you research into it, okay, there's been documents of how brain function much better, okay, when one meditates. So sleeping is like meditation. When we're talking, okay, not right now, Andrew and I, we're doing beyond talking. We're on the theta brainwave. Whereas normal general population who are speaking, about math, where you're operating on the alpha and the beta brainwave, okay? So when you're meditating and dream time, lucid dream time, the Tibetan Buddhists call samadhi stage. This is where you can self-heal. You can change the future. You can manifest for abundance, anything you want, okay? Create planets if you want, okay? Travel. Any universe you want to go to, okay? So Andrew and I, when we're having conversation, we're always on the theta brainwave. That's the theta brainwave, okay? In the theta brainwave, this is where one can do magnificent things. And I create that technology to allow your brainwave to go into theta brainwave in a couple minutes. For some people who are already a master in meditation, they just put it in the same room and they're already activated. And it can activate your pineal gland. I have people that claim that it actually decalcify their pineal gland. So I'm like, great, it's perfect. It protects you, heals you, and activates you, and allows you to have amazing dream time. So, yeah.
Nickie, I got a question for you. What's your view on the delta pattern of the brainwaves?
The delta is where one has a deep healing. It's a deep sleep process. Okay, this is where you don't really remember your dream. The only time you remember your dream is your theta brainwave. Okay, so that's like you still have your rapid eye movement, okay, REM, rapid eye movement, because you're actually very active. In the delta, most of the time what I have found in my research is that people who are experiencing delta is when they need deep healing on a physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual level. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, those people do not remember. But once, though, so these people have purchased my product, the T-Nano Disc, and they do this every night when they sleep with it. So over time, okay, it depends on how committed they are, because, some people are not committed. If you are committed, you will see result within months, and then they'll start seeing dreams now. Okay, I have this gentleman who's a CPA, okay, who had a brain damage and pneumonia as a baby, and he told me, I never had dreams before. Okay, so he bought one of this from me. Very skeptic. He came from a very left brain person. And he's like, I don't believe this. I'm like, no, just, if it doesn't work, just bring it back. I'll give you money back. I said, okay, he tried out. He went to sleep with it. I didn't hear from him for 2 weeks. Okay, on the second week, 14 days later, okay, he called me screaming on the phone, Nickie, first time in my life I'm dreaming. And he went on and on about his dream and how he explained how lucid it was. He was like trying to make it into a movie now. So, but that's the story, and it's all in my website for that, if you guys are interested to hear what he had to say. And so there are technologies out there, okay, for you to have a shortcut. And I'm not a big believer. I think music, okay, is good, Okay, I'm not a big fan of hypnotherapy because that's subliminal messages. I'm not a big fan of that. Because if you are here to trying to receive messages at multiple dimensions, and here you are having subliminal messages, how can you decipher the difference? Especially if you are just starting out. So you're a little bit confused. You're like in this training wheel, You're not sure what to do. So you're going to fall, okay? Until you become the master, okay, and knowing how to decipher the difference, then I can say, okay, go ahead and, incorporate that into part of your meditation. Otherwise, don't. If you're going to do music, do non-verbal, no word suggestion whatsoever. Purely classical. My ultimate favorite is Mozart and Beethoven. Moonlight Sonata is one of my ultimate favorite, and also anything with Mozart is my favorite. When I hear Mozart, oh my gosh, it's like activation for me. Okay, but I don't listen to that every day. You use that as a sacred space. When you go into like meditation, then you use it as an activation. Okay, part of the reason I don't want to incorporate music because music is everywhere. We can be in a car, we can turn on music, hear pops, classical music, Mozart. My brain's going to activate and go into meditative state. You see what I mean? But when I'm actually with friends and family and I need to use my left brain operating, conducting business, but now my right brain is activated, there goes my analytical point of view. You see how that goes? So I'm very particular when I say incorporating certain meditation music. Okay, same thing with scents. Okay, some people use essential oil. I'm not a big fan of that because, like I said, we are in a society where we are constantly bombarded with sound, scent, and because of that, you have to limit and define what is considered sacred. That's why I use the tea nano. It's an object, and you just have to hold it, or you don't. If you don't want it, you can just leave it in your purse, in your pocket, at home, whatever. So it's easier. It doesn't activate you unless you are in contact or in the present room with it. Okay, and are there any questions left out there?
Oh, that's a fabulous description, and you know what? It's so in line with what I say, and Andre's putting some of the stuff in the chat. Dream state empowerment, and it's just you say it with a feminine aspect of your perspective, and it expands the understanding. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing your perspective. We got about 6-7 minutes left, and your website's tnano.net, and your show's on 7 to 9 Pacific time on Revolution Radio.
Yes, every Thursday.
Thursday. I'm going to be on the Collective Imagination show tonight on Blog Talk Radio. It will be simulcast on Wolf Spirit Radio. I normally have a 9 to 11 show with Jay Perrin.
Now, are you also on Studio B like I am, or you're in Studio A?
I'm in Studio A.
Okay, I'm in B.
You're in B. Well, they're expanding it, and it's outstanding to have that Studio B there because it brings more hosts out. It brings more people to the station. It brings more people that are donating because they like the uncontrolled media that we have. I mean, you think about it. Could we have a show on normal radio between you and I? The answer would be no.
No.
How would our show have been broken up with 18 minutes of commercials each hour?
I know. And can I add something really fast? And,
sure.
Shows like this, Andrew and Andre, it really embrace people that are gifted, people that are intuitive, and all of you are intuitive. So learning how to embrace that without being tortured, traumatized, outcast. Does that ring a bell to those of you out there?
Yep.
Okay? Because I know even my family are still not accepting my gifts. How's your family, Andrew, with your gifts and abilities?
Can't stand it.
Yeah.
Can't even process it.
So, back in the old days, what were they going to do? If you're a witch, just because if we would be considered the witch, right? If we're talking like this, they would outcast us, burn us at the stake, when in reality, it's part of human being. And I hear those new age people that consider being human is without the gift and intuitive ability. And that is not true. Being human, if you want to relate as an animal instinct, animal have nothing but intuition, instinct. That is part of being human because we are part of animals genetically. Okay, so to say being human, you don't have intuition, that is not true. And being ET beings, yes, they do use telepathy. That's even more enhancing the primitive, okay, side on the human and animal genetics, cellular level. Okay, so I like to bring a lot of science to support what I talk about, you know, rather than just metaphysics. Unless you have somebody as powerful and can see like you, Andrew and Andre, you know, then it's really hard for somebody else to step up and you know, confirm and validate what we're talking about. Right? But science, it's, you know, it's much more prominent out there, and there's a lot of research done. And even Princeton University is coming out with a lot of metaphysics research. This organization called PAIR. Oh my gosh, this is amazing information. So it's out there. And to have people like us on the radio, you know, we have to band together and feel like there are community people like us around, and we can talk about it freely without feeling like we've been ostracized, and feel like we're normal. Because I think the new paradigm shift is you would be abnormal if you're not intuitive, if you're not using your psychic power, if you're not in mystery school. If you're not using your given abilities and living in your heart space, that would be the abnormal. Okay? So it's the reverse of the current situation.
Exactly. And it's the reverse of the current situation. So we got about...
So in modern time, not primitive people. Not the tribal people, because the tribal people now, they're still living in their heart space. Right. Just the modern man. So,
you know, and after a while, the modern man will come back to take more tribal concepts on. Many modern men will still use technology, but you won't need to work a 40-hour work or a 100-hour work week where you can't spend time with your family. You know, we have to come into the conversation of what is real work versus what is family, and that conversation has to come from a non-polarized perspective to allow the right answer to come through. Yeah. Because if two people are arguing and one person has the right answer, and the person that has the wrong answer has a stronger ego and a stronger head and just dominates, the problem never gets solved.
That's right.
And that's what we've been suffering from over and over and over again. The problem doesn't get solved because somebody has more money or more ego or more whatever versus the person that has the actual right answer. Removing polarity. And that's what we're going to have to come to. You know, we keep getting these screwed up scenarios and situations, but we can change it. Yeah. We, the people.
That's right. Changes start within you, and you have the power to change the world.
That's so right.
You
have the power. Be the change.
Be the change. That's right. Be the change. Act on it. Live by it. Live through examples.
So, Andre, you have any final words? We've got about a minute and a half left.
Yeah, I'll be really quick, mate. And mine, well... Fantastic. We'll be back again.
Thank you, Andrew.
We will absolutely do another one of these shows. This is absolutely enjoyable show. Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Nickie Thetsy. Thank Revolution Radio and Wolf Spirit Radio, and we will catch you at the same bat time, same bat channel, Thursday 2 to 4, and Nickie's show is on 7 to 9 Pacific Thursday night. Take it easy, everyone.
Thank you.